Alright, so welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to be working on this Athearn Bluebox SW7, I believe, which I bought for $5, just like the switcher in the last video. But hopefully, unlike that last video, this one actually works decently. So, let me show you how it doesn't work now, and then I'll explain why I know it doesn't work, and how I can fix it. And then we will go into actually tearing the whole thing down and giving it a clean out. So, let me show you it not working. So, here's the switcher set up on the track. If it works, it will be because of some magic. But I will show you, and wow, how surprising. Other direction. How surprising. So, let me show you why this isn't at all surprising. So now that we're back here, I have opened this engine up before to just wash off the shell, which I did earlier. Which, I believe I can do this by hand. Yes, I can. Unless it's going to be problematic over on this side. Which it probably will be, because that's how this always goes when I try and prove something. So I will get the screwdriver out, and probably break something, because that's how these videos always tend to go, for some reason. Funny how when I'm doing it off camera, everything goes perfectly fine. But when it's on video, everything has to go wrong. But there. We'll get the shell out, we'll throw that out of the way for the rest of this video until the end. But, do you see the issue yet? With Athearns, you have a metal bar that clips on the top here, and goes to these to get power to the motor. It isn't here. So, I'm going to heat up my soldering iron, get some wire cut to length, and then I will cue just a quick clip of me soldering 2 wires onto here. So, I will come back once the irons heat up, I've got some wire ready, and I am just about ready to put this thing back together. I have made a decision that I am not going to solder these wires on yet. I cut them, and they're a little bit long, so I might shorten them a little bit. But that's not the reason why. The reason why is, it's going to be a pain to have to unsolder them again, when I know the motor already works, because I've tested it. Since I know exactly what my issue is, and it makes it easier to get into the trucks now, I'm just going to get into the trucks and get to work on that. So, I will do one now. That was quicker than I had expected. This flywheel's also loose, so once I get this out of the way, I forget I have to pinch this style of truck in while trying not to bend this metal thing much more. So on the other truck, it looks like someone had already tried to take the truck out and bent the metal bit. Why aren't you coming out? Maybe it was that thing. Okay. I will throw that out of the way. I will first up. You know what? I'm going to leave the flywheel alone. And instead, I'm just doing this on the fly. I don't know why I'm doing this one on the fly. I have no real plan. So I'm just going to remove both trucks at once. I just had to unclip the other one. How did I forget to unclip this one? Okay. Gotta bend this thing out of the way again. Try not to bend that worse than it already is. This is an annoying design. Why couldn't they have done it like newer Athearns? It's probably why they changed it. So now, while I've got just this frame, I want to see if I can pry this flywheel off. I'm going to turn off the camera for that. So, if I can't, I'll just come back with the flywheel on, and if I can, there won't be a flywheel there. Alright, so I think you can see what has happened. So, I think I figured out the issue with this. This was slipping just the tiniest bit, so when I put it back together, I'm going to use a bit of glue. But the main reason the flywheel was slipping is it clips into this plastic bit, which just spins in here. So I'm just going to add a little bit of glue, and set this aside to dry while we work on the rest of this, and try and set it somewhere so it doesn't glue itself to anything. So I'm just going to set that up there, and throw some of this other stuff out of the way, and I'll get back to work on the motor and do what I was going to do. These motor mounts are actually loose, well, because they're dry rotted. I don't really intend to reuse this motor, I just want to get it working for the purpose of this video and not modify it yet. I'm not even going to be reusing the shell, which I don't know why I bothered to clean it. sneak peek at a future project then. It's turning into something else from another video, which if you've watched the channel for long enough, you might have an idea of what it is, or I've just bugged you online about it. So I will do my favorite thing with cleaning off these commutators. I don't really want to remove the motor because I don't want to break those motor mounts. So there. I've got to use this stupid Q-tip. Seems dirtier than usual. And then I'll use the fiberglass pencil. It's another thing I need to buy. I am running low on fiberglass in this pencil, and it's getting not very effective sometimes. So, yeah, I need a new one. I'll try and shut up while I'm working on the trucks. There, I think that commutator is clean enough, so I will move this chassis over to where the shell is, and we won't worry about that for a little bit, and then we can start working on these trucks. For the second being, I'm not even going to deal with the trucks, and I'm just going to clean off worm gear 1, worm gear 2, and worm gear covers, which this little thing doesn't want to stay on. I don't think this one even had a washer. No, it does have a washer. I'm going to leave it alone and try not to lose the washer, and I will just be quiet and clean these up. Okay, that might have been a little bit pointless. I am almost thinking that this might not even just have any oil in it, and that might be why it's a little bit loud. Oil will probably quiet this down. So, time to work on a truck. Gotta remove this little clip, which feels really incredibly flimsy for some reason, and this little bottom bit thingy, which also tend to break on camera for some reason. That went better than I was expecting. English is great. I will just throw these gears off to the side. Oh, this one's got little tiny gears, too. This might actually... I wonder if this is one of those, like... I've seen them before on Athearns, but they're the lower gearing kits. It's interesting. I haven't had an engine with them. It would make sense since it's a switcher. It's also quite weird to me seeing Athearn wheels without the actual bearings. I know I've had engines like that before, but this is different. It's a slightly different style. I don't know how to explain it. But again, will be quiet and work on this. Okay, before I start working on this one, I have to make a comment, and there goes me being quiet. But these gears, I've just ruined my own point. These gears, they actually have to go in a certain way, I think, too. But look how tiny this little gear is. Like, there is a massive difference in size between the gear that goes where the little, like, gear reduction thing is and the normal one. So, it might actually be important for later. I'm glad I spotted that now, because that might have made me have some issues later. Now that that's done, I can clean up the, I think, very unusual 5-gear setup for this engine. I would like to know if someone does actually have a clue. Did Athearn sell these switchers like this, or is this a custom upgrade kit? Because I feel like it's custom. I would reassemble it, but first, I honestly want to take a picture of this weird setup, just to ask some other people who know about Bluebox models, because I honestly, just for myself, want to know if it's something Athearn sold, or if it's some weird custom thing. So, stuff might be in a slightly different orientation when I come back. If so, that's why. So, I'll be back once I take a picture. Okay, so now I'm going to dump all the gears that I put in here out of here, and then I will just oil stuff up and reassemble this whole gearbox. So I'll shut up and I will do it. Something really doesn't feel right about this to me, so I'm going to go off camera and investigate, and if I'm back and the whole gearbox is put together, it might be, so don't be too surprised. So I'm going to figure this out and come back. Alright, so this one is put back together. Turns out I was just dumb and put it back together the wrong way. So now, time-lapse of this one and putting everything back in the frame. I would show you me soldering the wires on, but my phone's about dead and I would like to finish this video shortly. So I'm just going to come back once I got the shell back on and test the engine out. Okay, so the engine is now alive and together. I wish I could have shown you my wiring because I actually like how it looks. My expectations for this is just because of the motor. It'll be a little bit noisy because it's an older Bluebox motor, even with everything given to it. And it'll be pretty slow because of gearing, which I still think might actually be a custom kit. So, you will see if my suspicions are correct. I think some of the sound could also just be because the motor is actually vibrating. Since the mounts aren't that great, that could be a large source of my noise. Yeah, that does seem to go pretty well. I guess I have a new, quieter than most of my switchers switcher. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I might do some more stuff with this engine in the future.